Hello, good to see you again. Let's sing a song together today. I will enter his gates with thanksgiving in my heart. I will enter his courts with praise. I will say this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice for he has made me glad. He has made me glad. He has made me glad. I will rejoice for he has made me glad. He has made me glad. He has made me glad. I will rejoice for he has made me glad. Let's just stop here for a minute. I'm just going to sit in quiet for a little bit. That song said, he has made me glad. Let's just remember some good things that God has done for us, different ways he's made us glad. Let's just be glad together for a minute. We're going to read together today a little bit from the Gospel in Mark. And there are a lot of people in this part of the Gospel who are glad. See, Jesus has been doing all sorts of good things. If we turn through these pages, in the beginning of the book, we see people have been healed. In fact, Jesus has raised people from the dead. Here he heals a deaf man. He feeds people who are hungry. He teaches people, tells them good news. There are a lot of people who are very glad. And as that gladness is spreading and more people are hearing about Jesus, it just seems like things are going to get better and better. But Jesus knows that there is something hard that is going to come. Jesus already knows that the day is coming when people who do not want what he is giving them, who do not want to listen to him, those people will have him put to death. And he also knows that after he dies and is buried, that he'll rise again. So Jesus starts to tell his friends about what is coming. He starts to tell them about his suffering, about his death, and about his resurrection. We'll hear a little bit about how that went right now. Jesus began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and the chief priests and the scribes and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And he said this plainly. He said it plainly. That means it was very clear. He made sure that they understood exactly what he was saying. That he would suffer. That people would reject him. That he would be killed. And that he would rise. I wonder if we had been with Jesus, if we had been seeing the things that he did and hearing the things that he said, I wonder what we would think if he said this to us, if he told us he was going to die. I wonder how we would feel. I know he talks about rising from the dead, but all of that about suffering and dying sounds very sad. And so we hear Peter, one of Jesus' disciples. He took Jesus aside and began to rebuke him. When you rebuke somebody, you're telling them that they have done something wrong or they've said something wrong. You're correcting them. So Peter took Jesus aside and began to rebuke him. But turning and seeing his disciples, Jesus rebuked Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man." Peter actually decided to tell Jesus that he was wrong. No, these things won't happen to you, Jesus. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to suffer and die. Of course he doesn't want to suffer and die. Who would want that? But Jesus says, "Get behind me. Stop talking. You're not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man." God has his own plan. And God's plan for Jesus was a hard plan. A plan that had pain in it, but it was the right plan. Jesus died to save us, and he rose from the dead. Jesus knew this was the right plan. It was a hard plan, but the right one. And Peter just didn't want it to happen. "Get behind me. You are not setting your mind on the things of God, but the things of man." I am so glad that Jesus was willing to die for us, even though it was hard. And I am so glad that he rose. So after this conversation, he called the crowds back. And he said to them, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. I don't think that he meant we actually need to carry a wooden cross up a hill like he did. But when we deny ourselves, that means we need to be able to say no to ourselves. I bet there was a way in which Jesus didn't want to die on the cross, but he knew it was right, and he did it. He did what was hard. He denied himself, and he took up his cross. And sometimes we need to be able to say no to ourselves too. Sometimes we need to do something even though it's hard. Or sometimes there's something that we might want to do, but we know it's not right. It's not God's plan. So like Jesus, we go with God's plan, the hard way and the right way. And we follow Jesus. In this season of Lent, sometimes we do something called self-denial. We deny ourselves. We practice saying no to ourselves. Sometimes we do it in little ways. We practice maybe finding a food that we really like and saying during these days in Lent, I'm not going to eat that. Maybe at the end of the day, I really just want to have a big bowl of ice cream. But I practice saying no to myself. No, I don't need to do that right now. And did you know you can say no to yourself? We don't always have to have everything we want. We can do things that are hard. We can even do things that we don't want to do. We can decide to do them because we know they're right. We can deny ourselves. We can say no to ourselves and yes to what is good. And we can say yes to God, just like Jesus did. I wonder if there's a way in which we might practice that this week, might practice saying no to ourselves. I wonder if it's something small like a food we enjoy. Maybe you're doing that already for Lent. Maybe you could try it this week. Just saying no to one thing, to practice saying no to yourself. And we also practice saying yes to God. I wonder what that thing would be where we practice self-denial. We started giving thanks to Jesus as he has made us glad. We give thanks again, Jesus. We thank you that you did what was hard, that you were willing to suffer for us and to die for us. And we thank you that you rose for us. We thank you, Jesus, that you said yes to your Father's plan and not to Peter's. We ask that you will give us grace to say yes to your plan as well. Help us to follow you. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. Let's sing that again. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. I see the love of God in you. The light of Christ comes shining through. And I am blessed to be with you, O holy child of God. I'll see you soon.